And Mark, maybe we can start with you. If you were to define kind of what would be an important treatment goal from a next future treatment, what would be top of your list?
Yeah, I'm going to put my parent hat on. But I have to go with the acute event, right? The thing that we worried most about and still do and still will is the risk of a medical event, such as a clot, such as the things we heard this morning about some terrible situations. So as a parent, I mean that's our number one.
Right.
Long-term progression is certainly a concern. We've heard about that by some of the other community here. What is my children were diagnosed at birth. They have hopefully a long life ahead of them. I like how Danielle put it, where we're thinking about palliation and prevention. But what's that look like? Because even though you do as good as you can, there's still the complications. My children might kick me under the table for not picking formula and food, but those are clearly absolutely important too for us to just be humans.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. Ruth, we'll go around here and bring in each of you on Zoom. So would like to ask you the same question, in terms of short of that cure, what would be top of the list or something that's really important for you all?
I echo what Mark says. The acute events, you can think about those all day long if you want to as a parent or as a patient, and it's a terrifying thing to think about. So while I echo those, I would also say just having a more freedom in my daughter's life. I think that's what she would say, is she would ask, she would want something to where she can have a meal other than French fries and salad at a restaurant, and have some experiences that other kids her age take for granted every day.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ruth. Just going around here, Barbara, your thoughts on what would represent, a meaningful future treatment outcome?
Well, of course, medical, no medical complications. That's number one. But just to have a day where you're not consumed by doing all these things, formula, everything. It's like just constant, and it would be nice to free them up. Also, some kind of monitoring system, where they know what they're doing, like diabetes, some kind of natural to your body, like insulin is to diabetics, would be nice. Betaine is, but it's in such high doses that it really isn't natural anymore. So something like that, and also a monitoring system like diabetes has, so that, the patients can know where they stand.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Thank you so much, Barbara. Coming around here, Danielle, with I know you mentioned a little bit about kind of treatment goals, but as you're thinking about this, kind of what's top of your list, what would you say?
I'm going to agree with Mark as a patient, though, and say we can put the diet and formula to the side. We could keep it, it's fine. But with keeping it, I do hope that things for the future come, such as ease of use, ease of consumption, and ease of traveling. Because earlier this morning, we heard a lot of things that could be scary for first-time travelers and first-time explorers as you're navigating the world on your journey. And then personally, another thing that I would really appreciate is a home monitoring system, because as we know, most of the things that we are giving are natural forms that are now turning into toxic levels of natural forms, as Barbara was beginning to hint at. I think a way to monitor that. So if this is going to be our now and forevermore, having something that could monitor that experience definitely would reduce a lot of the things that were expressed this morning in regards to apprehension, anxiety, and things of the unknown.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for both of those things. And Landon, to kind of close out here on the Zoom panel, last but certainly not least, very interested in what you are looking for from future treatments.
Definitely a lesser risk of blood clots and stroke and all of those not so fun things, but also definitely a home monitoring system to measure those homocysteine levels and not be in the dark every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just want to thank all of you on Zoom for all of your thoughtful contributions throughout this afternoon's panel. We couldn't have done it without you, and we're going to turn to some phone callers here and written comments. But before we do that, I just wanted to make sure that we thanked you for everything that you've contributed this afternoon. So thank you.
Thank you.
So I do want to get us to the phones here. I see that we have a caller. We have Alex, who we spoke with earlier from Brooklyn, who's living with HCU, who wants to comment on this final topic of what he, some kind of goals or improvements he'd like to see in future treatments. So Alex, I'd like to welcome you to the program. Are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Welcome back.
So yes, just to sort of, hi, it's good to be back. Just to sort of reiterate, the home testing for homocysteine and methionine levels would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
A future treatment that looks something more than what we've had for the past 30 years, some form of injections or something to lower, that is always ideal. What I wanted to talk to you about really quick was the formula and the food. So this is something I've been kind of harping on for a while, but I think it's very important. I think a lot of the formulas, with the exception of one company that makes an unflavored formula, just have an excess of sugar and an excess of just processed ingredients in the food. And I think, that could lead to so many other health problems for especially kids. I mean, it could be because of some of these tooth and, tooth decay and all of this stuff. I think that, there needs to be a real switch in the pharmaceutical approach to this in terms of creating healthy treatments. I don't understand why there's so much processed food and sugar going into the formula. And I think, this is, like Danielle said, a Band-Aid. This isn't really a treatment.
Right.
But while it's there and while we have this, we can do something about that pretty quickly.
Right.
And I would love to see that be improved. I do kind of like a health tonic with my unflavored formula, and it's kind of changed my life. So that's it. I know we're running out of time, but I just wanted to say the sugary formula and things like that.
No, it's important to hear. It's kind of, as you said it, while formula is a reality, it's important to know what your preferences are to make that, something that is healthier for you and more acceptable to you. So thank you so much for sharing. We have one more caller that we'll bring into the conversation here. We have Liz, who also is calling back from this morning's session from South Carolina. So Liz, I'd like to welcome you into this discussion of future treatments. Are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. So hi again. As I mentioned, my 7-year-old little guy, Elliot, his current treatment consists of vitamin B6, B12, folic acid, betaine, and of course the low-protein diet. He's on 11 grams of protein a day, so it is incredibly restrictive. Just to illustrate how restrictive it is, just to tell a little anecdote on Elliot. Last winter, it snowed in South Carolina, which is something that does not happen often, and Elliot and his big brother wanted to make snow cream. So Elliot's watching the snow come down, and he looks at me and says, "Mom, does snow have protein?" And I said, "No, Elliot, it doesn't." And he got the biggest smile on his face. He said, "Good, then I can eat all the snow I want." And as his mom, my heart dropped because, something as normal and simple and human as eating, it makes me sad that it always has to be at the forefront of his mind. So that being said, looking towards the future, we would love a treatment that would maybe be orally ingested, that would allow for greater daily protein allotment. But we'd also absolutely consider an injection that regulates enzyme activity that would allow for that more normal diet, but and also that no longer, hopefully, the need to drink the medical formula. Right. With that being said, we'd really like a treatment that not only frees him up and gives him a more normal lifestyle, but also results in a much more predictable, consistent and safe homocysteine level. I think that's key because, as so many people pointed out today, the current treatments are symptom management. But we want to be sure that his, the underlying condition and the homocysteine levels and everything, he's kept safe, essentially.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you calling back in here, Liz, and sharing some, well, first for sharing that, anecdote, while acute, also very, hard, and your heart does sink, hearing that, but also your perspectives on future treatments. To kind of close this discussion out, I do want to make sure we get to some of these written comments. We've gotten, again, quite a few that have come in here, and so Danae, can you share some of those with us?
Yeah, there are so many comments here. It is really hard to choose from. Melanie from Canada again writes, short of a complete cure, we would love to see treatments that will allow less or no formula and the ability to eat more protein on a daily basis. We have Valerie from Arizona. Approving a new form of a treatment will drastically change the quality of life for me and others who live with HCU. It will take away the anxiety, stress, and unknowns of when a complication could occur in one's life, releasing the fear for not only the individual with HCU, but the families and future generations who are diagnosed with this rare condition. We have Chris, who reiterates the need for a monitor. So a caller earlier this morning mentioned that blood levels of her kid are only taken every 4 to 6 weeks, and his son are taken every 3 to 6 months, which is very stressful. If there was a way to check them at home every day or week, like diabetes, it would be much easier to reduce stress and change the course of treatment if levels are high. And Jamila wrote in from Florida, access to a diverse array of medical treatments is not solely related to relaxing diet and lifestyle modifications. It is a matter of reduction in catastrophic medical events. Prevention and management are key. Additionally, access to treatment and ease of use integration for a wide spectrum of patients faced with varying symptoms must be taken into consideration. I'm going to add just one more here.
Please do.
Ben from Georgia shared, regarding future treatments, there aren't many options that I wouldn't consider. Pills? Yes. Weekly shots? Definitely. Daily shots? Sure. Infusions at the hospital? Sign me up. The value of lifting the burden of a low-protein diet far outweighs the difficulty I might experience from any of the treatments that have been in development. If we can ditch the disgusting metabolic formula in addition to dropping the diet, that's even better.
Wow. Yeah, well, thank you everyone who's been writing in. Those were, I think we heard definitely some consistent themes, but also a variety of additional kind of preferences from this community on what they're looking for from future treatments. And it was so important that we heard all of those because it really helps drug developers and FDA as they consider clinical trial design and ultimately weigh the benefits and the risks of potential new products that are coming through the pipeline.